Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to this edition of the Paul Kino Lamar Viking Baseball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Frawley, and with me, as always, of course, head Viking baseball coach, Paul Kino. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm real good tonight.
Good. Well, I tell you what, this is a Tuesday night. We flip-flop nights because of potential weather. Varsity game at South Grand Prairie got moved to last night, and we'll get to that game in a few minutes. But let's talk about last week first, if that's okay. The sweep against Bowie. Wow.
Oh, it was nice. I mean, we hadn't done that in a couple of years. We'd go out and play really good game one and, not to sound arrogant, kind of show up game two thinking that we had things in hand without, really going out there and playing with energy and, I don't know how to put it, but we didn't play with any energy in game two and of those couple of years. And, didn't play horribly bad or anything, but didn't play our best, and the games got away from us. And I don't mean to take anything away from Bowie. I just feel like though we were the better team, and we didn't take care of our business.
But this year you got game one at home, and then you went over to Bowie Friday night and you succeeded.
Yes, we did. I mean, the kids played well. We hit the ball well. Played good defense. Peyton threw a great ball game. It was really, really nice. I mean, it was good. It was good because, that put us in the playoffs for sure. When we sweeping them, it meant they couldn't catch us. So it was really nice, to go in and, play South Grand Prairie, and the weather's playing a little trick with us, this week. So we moved the game up to Monday, but it was nice going in knowing that you were in the playoffs. Now you were playing more for, I hate saying it because but you're playing to capture third place and possibly give yourself a chance if Bowie could upset Martin and you could sweep to have a seeding game against Martin.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't think, because that's reality, and that's you as a coach and Coach Goodman and the players. Going back to Friday, and we'll talk some more about the specifics of the games in a few minutes, but like you mentioned just a few minutes ago, past couple of years, you go out, great showing game one against Bowie, game two, come out flat, whatever. Was there talk among the players? Could you tell any difference this year? Like they were revved up, they were psyched up for it any differently, or did it just all come together?
Well, I think, this group has great chemistry. They really, really do. And, every team is different every single year. Some are closer than others. This team's just very, very close. And it's been fun to be with them all year long and see it grow. And, I'm kind of uptight sometimes. So I was letting them know the whole week, about game two, and I challenged them to sweep,
Okay.
And they did it. I mean, they took it upon themselves. I mean, they're a great group of kids. They're a good baseball team. They have a lot of pride in themselves. They have a lot of pride in each other. And that's what's fun to see is I think they really play for each other, not just themselves. Because, playing summer league ball, you're really playing for yourself. I mean, it's not, I hate saying it's not a big deal if you win or lose.
They want to develop their skills personally.
Yeah, you're there to develop your personal skills. And it's not so much team orientated. And high school ball is a lot different that way. And I think this group really plays for each other, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. And we've talked about this over the season on these shows, and I've noticed that at the varsity level. I've noticed it JV and JV2 freshmen, whatever you want to call it. But there's that gel, and you can see there's a camaraderie. And again, it goes back to, I don't know what happens at practices. I don't know completely what happens in the dugouts, but on the field, there's none of this finger pointing. There's no getting down on each other. And that is key, because I've seen some good teams, not necessarily Lamar teams. I've seen good teams fall apart because of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. It'll cause dissension. It'll cause dissension in the team, finger pointing will. And, we've been very fortunate. You're right. At all three levels, there's not finger pointing going on. They may say things to each other at times, but it's meant to, hey, we need you, pick it up, let's go. And it's never been in like, oh, you messed up, you screwed up, you cost us the game. It's never been that way. And I don't know. I mean, our coaches aren't that way, and maybe it's rubbed off on our team. Maybe the kids are just that way. No one thing wins or loses a ball game. It's accumulation
Mhm.
of things, and it might be, you know, you give up the hit that scores the winning run for the other team, or you make an error or whatever. But bottom line is that might have happened at the end. That's what might be visible, but there's other things that go on. So,
Exactly.
I mean, no one person wins or loses a ball game. It takes all of us.
Definitely so. And the same way, just to kind of reiterate something you're talking about, the players don't seem to have an attitude of you did wrong, but it's also how other players receive those comments, being able to accept constructive criticism
Oh,
or,
yes.
hey, let's step it up a notch.
And that's hard for a lot of times. It's hard for teenagers to be able to accept constructive criticism.
It
Couldn't
is.
speak for a minute. Um, but I mean, they're growing. They're growing into into being a man, and sometimes that's not easy. I mean, crud, I'm 52 years old, and sometimes that's not easy. So, I mean, to be able to step back and say, "Hey, I messed up," and I think that's something that I've had to learn as a coach. To be able to look at my kids and say, "Hey guys, I screwed up. I got somebody throwing that at home plate."
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we're all going to make mistakes. The good teams don't make as many mistakes.
Yep.
So hopefully I'm a role model too. I want to be a role model. Hopefully I am one. And hopefully I try to coach in the way that I want them to play.
Well, Coach, I would say that you are, and this isn't just to blow smoke up your skirt or anything, but you are, and the players are emulating that. And this goes back to something you and I talk about frequently on these shows and offline, developing these boys into men and teaching them life lessons. Because if they can take constructive criticism from each other and coaches today in an athletic situation, that's going to poise them better for the future out in the real world, whether they're playing ball at another level in college or school or at a job.
I mean, and it's just not me. I mean, it's my
Sure.
coaching staff. All of them are fantastic. Coach Goodman, Coach Gill, Coach Viard. They're all fantastic. I think we communicate or we try to communicate that understand, if we get onto you, we still love you.
Mhm.
That feeling never changes. We're always
Yes.
going to love you. You need to listen to the message we're sending and process it and let the rest kind of slide off your back.
Mhm.
And we try to do a good job of talking to them. Uh, you know, Sometimes depends on the heat of the moment, whether the tone goes up or not.
Sure.
But we try to explain to them, they're young men. Like I said, they're growing into manhood. And, that, like you said, the most important thing is trying to be, you know, help them grow up to be good men.
Exactly. And speaking of this, as the development of boys into young men, coaches, everyone else, fans, parents. There's all those things we've talked about before that you can control, things you can't control. And
Mm-hmm.
you've mentioned this before. You get a group of teenagers out there playing baseball any given night, and who knows what's going on elsewhere in their lives. And yet there you are, you can't control exactly what they do. You coach, you guide, you instruct. But when it comes to it, do they select the proper pitch? Do they follow a signal to steal? Do they throw
Yeah.
their correct pitches and so on? And that's got to be kind of I don't know what the right word is, stressful at times for you and the other coaches because you're depending on these unknown factors for
It, it
success. Does that
it
make
can
sense?
be stressful. It can. I mean,
Yeah.
you're exactly right. I mean, you don't know. You're trying to. I always say that as a coach, and if you've coached for a long time, you should get an honorary psychology degree.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're dealing with a lot of other things just besides baseball, and and I truly believe that growing up nowadays is probably a lot harder than growing up. I mean, certain things are harder than growing up when you and I grew up. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the cell phone causes a lot of stress in our kids' lives. I mean, whether it's instant news or, I remember being their age and you really worried about what other people thought about you. I
Hmm.
mean, and it didn't matter if they were your best friend. It didn't matter if they were somebody you really didn't even know. You worried about what they thought about you and what they were saying about you. And now, I mean, people can send messages and send different things. And I mean, it's instantaneous. Where you and I grew up, I mean, it'd have to go through the grapevine before we ever heard it. And we may never ever hear it. These
Exactly.
kids hear it instantly. And it's a lot harder to grow up nowadays. I really truly believe that.
There's a lot more variables and a lot more, yeah, inputs to the psyche, the mind, and all that stuff than when we did. And plus, I'll just say this: parents and coaches and teachers, I think they have to be a little bit more careful. They have to do things differently than when we grew up as
Oh,
well.
most definitely.
Some for the good, some for the not so good. I'll say that you don't want to, but you know what I'm talking. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But again, yeah, it's so it's amazing to see that these groups of teenagers, and it's whether it's football, basketball, baseball, track, whatever, that they can get together and actually perform as well as they do, given all the different inputs. And this is not their job, you know,
Hmm.
this is their extracurricular. It might be one of their
Yeah.
main focus, but they're students that you
Yeah.
refer to them as student athletes. They've got friends, they've got family, they've got all these different things. So it really is kind of amazing the more we talk about it.
Oh, the kids are amazing. I mean, I don't mean to say anything about any other athletes or students at Lamar High School. I hope the other coaches feel the same way I do, but I think I coach the best kids at Lamar High School.
Mhm.
And I mean, I hope like I said, I hope the basketball, football, all the coaches, track coaches feel the same way. But that's how I feel about our kids. I think I coach the best kids at Lamar High School.
Well, and to validate what you just said, yes, I've talked to Coach Skinner on those coaches shows. I've talked to other coaches. They do feel that way as well.
Good.
Soccer, track, any of it. And coach, I'll say this: that is real parallel with parents. Hey, I think my two sons are the best sons in the world, in spite of their flaws and
Oh yeah.
mistakes, and in spite of the things I did wrong raising them. You feel the same way about your daughters, and
Oh
everyone
yeah.
feels so. That's the kind of a blend over thing, I think, from parenting, coaching, or whatever else. So definitely. Well, hey, let's talk about last night's game
Yeah.
against South Grand Prairie over in Grand Prairie. And I was out of state, actually, not just out of town, but I was checking in on Game Changer. Um, did I see correctly? Greco got a home run.
Yeah. Greco hit a home run.
That's nice to see a dinger come from someone. And then we were talking about it. Just, I think one of the most frustrating things for a coach is to leave the bases loaded.
Oh, most definitely.
And last night I was watching in and out. Nate Rivera pitched a great game.
Oh, he
Carson
pitched
Tresh,
incredible.
yeah, and we can talk about the Carson Tresh comes in relief. All of a sudden, I look down, the bases are loaded, and then boom out, and he gets out of it. So their coach had to have been completely frustrated. We left the bases loaded, but yet you and Goodman, yeah, they left the bases loaded.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
talk a little bit about last night's game, however you want to. Those are some
Well, I mean,
observations.
we started out in the first. Nate drew a walk to lead off the game. He ends up stealing second. Cooper bunts him to third. Mason ends up doubling with 2 outs to score him. We jump up 1-0. They tie at 1-1. We go up 3-1. Like I said, Nate's dealing. He's being Nate. He's pitching really exceptionally well. He has all season. We just battled. We had really good at bats. We laid off the curveball that weren't thrown for strikes, that were thrown in the dirt. We took a really good approach to the plate. We scored 3 in 1 inning. Garrett Saunders had a big 2-out hit.
Yep.
And then Greco had a home run, a 2-run home run, put us up 6-1. We always have to have, seems like we have to have a little drama. I'd love to do without a little bit of drama. But we made an error to start the bottom of the 7th.
Right.
And then, Nate's pitch count was up. He had like 91 going into the 7th. And, we're big. I don't like kids throwing in the hundreds. I'm looking to get him out. And, we put him out there, let him go back out. And, we get a ground ball and we make an error on it. And then, so, he gets a fly ball to left on the next hitter. So there's 1 out, and he was probably, I'm not sure exactly, but he's probably around 96, 97. And I told Goodman, go get him. And we bring in Tresh, and, at first he had a little trouble locating the zone. He walks that guy, and, I'm just like, oh,
yeah.
And so my blood pressure is going up, and, and just, I'm like, God, can we just please do something easy for once? And, they end up getting bases loaded, but he strikes out a kid, and then gets the last kid to fly out, I believe. And it's just really good job. Great team win. A lot of people contributed. It takes a team to win, and absolutely fabulous job.
It does, Coach. And I'm going to say this because you
Oh,
are
because I want to give a shout out to Mason. Mason Gillum had like 4 hits.
Oh, yeah,
And
4 for 4.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he had a fantastic game. I mean, stepped up, stepped up in a big moment and really delivered. And he's been doing it all season. So it was awesome
Yeah.
to see him do it.
Yep. Well, Coach, you're so humble, and you always, every time I talk to you on the show or at the Lamar Viking Diamond and behind the bleachers, up in the press box, whatever, coach's office, and I always, hey, great game. And if it's a win, you always say the kids played great, or if it's they ran out of time or got outscored, well, we could have done better coaching. But I hope you realize, I hope you do, that the kids played great, but this is also a result of what y'all are doing with them.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always going to give it to the kids because
Sure.
they're the ones that play the game, and they're the ones that go out and get it done. So, I mean, the kids deserve all the credit. We're going to go out there and try to lay a game plan out of what we think is going to happen, as far as what we think we're going to see from their pitching staff, how we think they're going to pitch us, whether we think we can run or not run. We're going to kind of have a game plan and lay out the game plan, but the kids are the ones that make it happen. And, they've made it happen all season. I mean, I think Coach Goodman and I were talking, and, I think we started 1-7, 1-6, 1-7.
Oh yeah. Back in the tournaments stuff. Yeah.
And since then we're like 18-5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we talked about. The kids have grown up. They've really grown together as a team. They quit trying to win and they expect to win, and they do the things that it takes to win. And, it's been so much fun to watch. It's been so much fun to be a part of it on a day-to-day basis. But those kids are the one that deserve all the credit.
Good for you, Coach. All right. This Friday night at the Lamar Viking Diamond, regular season finale. It's teacher appreciation night. All kinds of cool things going to be happening. 8-3 district record. Did you expect to be 8-3 at this point?
Well, I'm kind of being arrogant. I thought I'd be
That's
like
okay.
10-1 at this time.
I know,
But, that's just the belief. That's the belief I have in my kids and the belief I have in my team and my coaching staff that I get to work with every single day. Really, I'm proud, so proud, but at the same time disappointed because, I thought, this could be a district championship team. And, we just came up a little bit short, and there's nothing wrong with that. Our kids competed and they played hard. We just came up a little bit short here and there. So I'm very proud of being 8-3. Hopefully we'll be 9-3 after Friday. And, and always looking back after whatever season ends, always looking back and reflecting, I've always been proud of every group I've ever coached.
Sure.
And this is my 19th season as the head coach, but 18th season because of COVID. And this is the 13th team that I've been able to, I don't want to say I've been able to take to the playoffs. They went to the playoffs. And so very proud of them. And, even the ones that we haven't made the playoffs, I've always believed that it's about being the best you can be, being the best team that you can be. And if you did that, and maybe you're not a playoff team, you still should be very, very proud of what you accomplished.
There you go.
So, I'm just very proud of these young men and what they've accomplished this year. And I'm not ready for it to be over by any means. I'm excited about the playoffs. We don't know who we're going to play yet going into tonight. The district we match up with, 3 teams are 12-2. So we don't know who we're going to match up with yet. And they're going to be a good baseball team, and we're a good baseball team, and we're going to need to go out there and play well and make sure we do the little things right and give ourselves an opportunity to win.
Yep. Well, speaking of playoffs, Coach, I'm wearing a 2015. You can't see it; the camera won't focus. But I'm wearing a 2015 baseball playoff shirt. I've got a pretty good collection because y'all have taken them 13. Y'all and the players gone 13 times, and I've got shirts from a bunch of those. But yeah, just put this one on to do the show, even though only the gold shows. But okay, so for the parents, the fans, the families, the teachers that'll be there, the players, everyone. Friday night matters. You're 8-3, but going in and being 9-3 can make a big difference. Not only just like, okay, now we're 9-3, maybe we step up a little bit, but it's momentum.
Give our sense that one, you're right. It's momentum. Going to the playoffs feeling good with momentum. and two, give ourselves a chance to maybe Bowie does something. You know,
Yeah.
if Bowie just somehow steps up and takes care of Martin, all of a sudden Martin's got 3 losses. Give ourselves a chance. We got 3 losses. Next thing you know, we're playing a seeding game with not a seeding, seeding game
Yeah.
with Martin.
Yeah.
See who's second and third.
Yeah. And that's happened before in the history of Lamar Viking, not too long ago, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Played
think it was
Arlington
against
High.
Arlington. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Played over in Grand Prairie, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent.
And I'm going to brag a little bit because we beat Arlington High.
Yes, sir. I remember that well. I remember being up in the booth. We actually were able to, you and Coach Womack worked it out. I could do the announcing and stuff, and that was a lot of fun to be there. So, but all right. Well, this Friday night does matter. Of course, all games matter, but again, this one matters a whole lot. Just you're already in the playoffs, but hey, everyone's going to step it up, including the fans. And I expect a really big crowd at the Lamar Viking Diamond, students and parents and friends and all that.
Well, you know, it's playoff baseball because South Grand Prairie's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's playoff baseball. And, you know, you want to play well. And, you know, obviously we want to win, but you want to play well. You want to have that feeling of you're where you need to be going into the first playoff round.
Exactly. All right. Well, Coach, as we always say, let's go ahead and plug that booster club, and the people are so active because, man, what an incredible group and all the support.
Oh, I mean, the Booster Club, we couldn't do it without them. I mean, you know, we'd have baseball program, but it would not be as special as it is. You know, we wouldn't have, you know, the really cool uniforms, and, you know, they do so much for the facilities, you know, new batting cage nets, turf in the batting cages. You know, our Booster Club is fantastic about making sure that we have really nice things and our kids have really nice things. And, you know, whatever we need, the Booster Club has gotten. And so, I mean, that's through the years. I mean, the brick wall on the fence, the Booster Club did that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the gate that separates the foul territory, the 4-foot fence, the Booster Club did that. I mean, the Booster Club has done so much. The signs in right field that we replaced, you know, the first signs were done by the Booster Club. Now, the signs that we replaced last year, they replaced those because they had gotten old and faded. I mean, the Booster Club does so much just to make our baseball program first rate. And, you know, I mean, it's not the fact that AISD doesn't, because I'm not meaning that.
No, they do what they can with the budget they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Booster Club has been awesome about doing everything else.
Well, I want to send out some special thanks because, you know, I get the privilege of going up there, and whether it's just announcing games, we do the broadcast, mainly varsity, sometimes sub-varsity games, looking forward to playoffs. But the things they've done in that booth, those new windows that we've mentioned before, we can see through the windows when they're closed now if there's inclement weather or wind blowing in. I mean, something as simple as a white dry erase board that we can write messages to each other and ourselves and reminders of what we need to announce. The chairs that are up there. I mean, over the last couple of years, they've done incredible things, and they treat any of us so well who are up there, broadcast team, announcing team, whatever it is, feeding us and taking good care of us. So,
you know, I've been lucky to have great Booster Clubs, you know, all through my years there. Like I said, 19 years, fantastic Booster Clubs, you know, but I do want to give a big shout out to Mr. Schutte and Miss Schutte. I mean, they've been fabulous. This is their second year as the Booster Club, presidents. I don't even know which one's Booster Club president, which one's not.
I think they're co-presidents. Yeah.
But they are awesome, and they do a fantastic job. And, you know, and I know that they have help with people coming up with ideas. But I mean, the Booster Club just thrown out so many fantastic ideas about doing things and getting the community involved. And and, you know, our feeder systems involved, and that's what we want to do. And we want kids growing up proud and looking forward to being a Lamar Viking.
And the McKays, what they're doing with the concession stand, Taco Tuesdays, all the other special things they've done. You know, getting golly, I'm so sad. Sorry, the name that skipped my mind. The ribs that were that's just a brain tooth. Shryock did the I caught it just in time. I mean, just all the different things that I think some people come into our ballpark in the concession stand and things are, wow, I think we need to step it up back home a little bit. So anyway, with them and everyone that volunteers in the concession stand and puts on a great face and everything, and all the other, even behind the scenes stuff. And I love going to the Booster Club meetings because people are excited and happy with you. Yeah.
I know I give the Shooties the shout out because they're kind of the leaders.
Well, they're the leaders.
You know, the president. But
Yeah.
like you said, the McKays, there's so many people that
Yeah.
step up and do it, and working in the concession stand. And I wish I could give a shout out to everybody, because
Of
everybody
course.
deserves it.
Yeah. And, Robert Cornish, I think he does pitch counts every game
Yeah,
now.
he
I
does
mean,
that for me.
it went from, hey, do you mind doing that too? Now he's the guy. Andy Wheeler was up doing a broadcast with me
Mhm.
recently when, and other people have had the chance to step in, scoreboard and all this stuff. It's just the names go on and on. So, but yeah. Well, Coach, anything else you want to mention before we close off for this evening?
No, just hopefully the rain holds off. They're calling for a
Yeah.
lot of rain this week. Wednesday's supposed to be 1.5 inches, and then Friday's like 50% chance. Just want to be able to go out and play ball and get after it, and go into the playoffs on a high note, or playing well. And so just looking forward to it. That's all.
Definitely so. Well, Coach, appreciate you so much again making time. And it's not even just making time, because I want people to know you don't look at these coaches shows as a burden at all. I mean, you were the one this time that reached out. Okay, we got to move it from Monday night because we have the game change. And then today, coach's show tonight, ? Texting me, and that makes me feel so good, because, and I've known this for years, but I want people to know you enjoy doing this. You're enthusiastic about doing these shows and these podcasts, whatever you want to call them. So this is awesome.
I love what I do. I get to
Yeah.
do something I love every single day. I get to work with, I get to teach at Lamar High School. I get to work with, awesome kids, in the classroom, on the baseball field. And, I look forward to it. I'm a human being. I'm tired sometimes. And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
God. But I mean, when I get out on the baseball field, I mean, that's my heaven, and, I don't mean to be, for religious people out there.
No, you're not being sacrilegious at all, Coach.
But
we get it.
I love it. And I'm very fortunate to get to do what I love to do.
Heck yeah. Archie's trying to make a cameo appearance, or I'm trying to keep him from it anyway. Well, Coach, thanks again for everything you do. And you can still hear me, right? I'm gonna make sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure he was moving around. He didn't pull my cord out. So, but I'm sorry, I'm wrestling with him. Until next time, I'm Bill Frawley with head Viking baseball coach Paul Kino saying VFND.
Bye, everybody.